What's good? Tom here. Selling information in the year of 2025 is probably the most highest leverage profitable business out there, right? And in this video, what I'm not going to do is tell you my unique mechanism of how I'm secretly scaling all these businesses and scaling my clients. I'm just going to tell you the simple ways that I've allowed one of my clients to make 139K in 29 days. And exactly how you can as well, selling information. Now, this method, I'm joking, these steps essentially allowed me to not just scale one client, but repeat it with a bunch of different clients, right? And it's simple, it's repeatable. If you get all of these right, then you can easily scale past 50, 100K a month with an information coaching consulting business, right? So as you can see, 153K contracted, 88K collected, another client 67K, 100K, another client 111K, another client going from 20 all the way to 86K, another client 87 all the way to 146K, right? So it's repeatable, right? And anyone telling you there's some unique mechanism is essentially just trying to lead you down the garden path, right? I'm going to say it plainly. They are relatively simple if you know exactly how to use all these methods and what to do. If you don't, then yeah, you're probably going to go around in circles. So let's get into the first one, and it's profile optimization, right? Your Instagram profile, your YouTube profile is like your CV, right? It's like your job resume. So if people are going to your page, and even if you have the best content, the best product, the best everything, but your profile isn't optimized, then no one's going to think that you can provide value to them. So when I'm taking on a client, the first thing I look like is, okay, what is the destination looking like? Whether they're running ads, whether they're completely organic, the destination has to be dialed in. Because let's say one of your reels or one of your posts goes viral, right? If the destination isn't optimized, then people are going to come from that viral post, come to your page and think, this person's probably not the person to actually help fix my issue, right? So, what I mean by optimized profile is a clear bio, a clear profile picture, right? Redirection to YouTube. Instagram is only so good at building that trust. YouTube is how you can get a lot more hours, a lot more minutes of building trust and authority with your prospects, right? With your viewers. So you want a clear way to redirect people from your Instagram to YouTube to build more trust and for them to make them feel like you are the person that they can help, right? So for example, in my bio, I have a link going to my YouTube VSL, quote unquote, to really go through my process, how I help businesses and my offer, okay? Exact same with different clients I've worked with. For example, Dovey, he has his VSL, right? Which is a different way of doing things, but it's the exact same. Okay, it's taking people to longer form content to nurture them. Callum Carver, right? You can see it goes to a VSL to be able to nurture them longer, right? Next part of profile optimization is a start here or a results highlight, right? You want to show to your audience who you've helped, right? You want to show them your authority. What I do is I have a start here highlight which shows, okay, who I was, what I do now, who I've helped, and my transformation, and a call to action at the end. Okay, so it's very easy. Someone comes to my page, they go into the start here highlight, they have a pretty obvious overview of what I do. Okay, then they can go on to my results, they can see exactly who I've helped, the specific case studies, and really get that confidence that I'm the person that can help them scale their coaching business, if that makes sense. Pin posts. This is the next part of the profile optimization, right? You want to have a couple posts that really sum up what you do, who you are, and maybe some authority. So, A, who you are, authenticity, right? People buy from people that they feel like they relate to. Not someone who is, flexing Lamborghinis, all this, doesn't have any bad traits whatsoever. Like, that doesn't really convince people these days. You want to really convey that you're authentic. You're yourself. You're literally being yourself so they can trust you, right? So who you are, okay? I've generated 4.3 million for my clients, right? I'm showing off a tiny bit of my personality, showing off my system as well, which comes into the client results authority. TSC system, right? This is pretty much me going over the process that I use to help scale businesses, which isn't unique. It's not some crazy system. It's literally a bunch of the fundamentals put into one system, okay? Now, tiny bit of authority as well, going over a like a subtle way of showing my client testimonial and a client win. Okay, and then maybe a bonus one: who you help, what you do. Right. So if you're covering these three, then you're pretty good, right? Who you are, authenticity, client results, authority, and who you help. Okay, if you have this clear profile picture, redirections to YouTube, pretty decent highlights, start here, results, and then pin post, you're good. Okay, as long as when you redirect someone from Reels or YouTube or whatever, or ads into your Instagram profile and it's clear what you do, who you help, then you're good, right? That's number one. Now, the second thing I focus on is offer economics, right? You could have the best marketing, but if you don't have good offer economics, then you're probably not going to scale, right? So what I advise to all my clients is 1 to 3 packages for each avatar, okay? Let's say you sell B2C and your market is younger people, right? Typically, they're probably not going to be able to afford super high ticket, okay? Depending on the target market, right? So you want to have maybe minimum 3K, maybe a 3K package for people who can't really afford any payment plans from the higher ticket. Then you want to have maybe a 5 or a 7K package or a 6K package, something that's requires a bit more care for customers, a bit more access to you, more one-on-one calls. So for example, the initial package could just be group coaching, right? It could be initial group coaching, maybe a course, a community. The upsell 5 to 7K or 5 to 10K could be more one-on-one access for you, okay? Inner circle access. All right. If you have 1 to 3 clear packages that cover all of your avatar, all of your ICP subsets, then you're good, right? And after this, it's a clear 3-pillar sales pitch. I'm going to get into this shortly, but it's really a 3-pillar clear way of just conveying your value. I see so many coaches, consultants who actually have a really good offer, but they just don't know how to convey it. They don't know how to actually say it on a sales call. Right? So if you come up with a 3-pillar pitch that goes over almost like a story, like a chronological order, like going through a journey of what it's going to look like for them instead of features, that'll really sell, right? People don't buy features. They buy what they can visualize. They buy what they see them going on as a journey, right? So you want to make it seem like a journey of progression for them. Now that's the second. Offer economics. Once you have your profile dialed in, once you have the offer economics, now we've actually got to get some appointments booked in, okay? And this is number 3. I always focus on the appointment setting side of things. This could be with paid ads, which is what we go on after we really hit a wall with the client, or it could be completely organic. I have clients who, have 25,000 followers and do 120K a month, right? Now, for the appointment setting side of things on Instagram, you have to have at least 3,000 Instagram followers, right? And the way you want to generate appointments and generate interest is 2+ weekly CTAs. Okay, number 1 is a story hard CTA. Now, a hard CTA is literally as it seems, right? A hard CTA on saying, okay, like apply for my mentorship. Comment the word Ben or mentor or whatever if you want one-to-one help or whatever, like directly stating that this is a call to action to apply for my mentorship. Okay, now the second one is a soft CTA, right? This is a bit more of an inconspicuous one, right? It's a lead magnet. So for example, it's I've got maybe a 20-minute long video that really goes through how to start an AI agency, right? Comment the word AI and I'll send it over. Now, that is not directly asking to join your mentorship. It's asking for interest on a specific topic. And then you sort of know that they could be your ICP, your ideal client profile, right? And after that, an appointment setter can carry on the conversation. Now, the next one, which is sort of a bonus, is posts, right? So carousels, reels, if you do CTAs there, that's sort of an inconspicuous one that people don't really see as much of. But the reason why I say 2+ around 2 is because you don't want to CTA too hard. You don't want to call to action your audience because you don't want to waste your audience and dilute it. Okay? If you do that, people are just going to get used to these CTAs and they're probably not going to respond as well to them. Okay? So you want to do a bunch of value stories, but intertwine them with around 2 CTAs every single week. Now, once you have that interest in your DMs, right? Once you have people reaching out to you, asking for your service, you've got to have leverage as a business owner. Right? The first hire that I advise all my clients to make when they're under the 50K mark is an appointment setter. Okay? Someone to be in the DMs messaging on your behalf to get appointments booked in. Because it's not leverage for you to be in the DMs yourself if you are above 10K a month, right? It just isn't. Even if you're maybe above 5K a month, like I'd still say probably the best or first hire after a video editor is an appointment setter. Okay, these appointment setters have to be trained to speak how you speak, and with the accurate sales process follow up, they have to be of good quality. Okay, and a really good appointment setter in these appointment setting process is nurturing bookings with sales assets and YouTube videos. Probably one of the most important parts of the sales process is between when they book a call, a prospect, and when they have their call. This could be the make or break of show rate, of closing rate, of the amount they put down, the amount they trust you, right? So you want to make sure appointment setters are handling objections and frequently asked questions in between that time and nurturing them. You don't want to leave it cold turkey. All right, you've booked your call, I'll speak to you in 3 days. It's the wrong thing to do. What you want to do is you want to gauge their objections, get your appointment setter to send over objection handling YouTube assets. YouTube assets you've created, testimonials, interviews with students to build that trust. Okay, it's really, really, really important. Okay, and of course, YouTube for the trust building. And how I would recommend to structure YouTube is 1 video a week solving your ICP's problems. It's as simple as that. Right? It doesn't have to get crazy views. As long as you have a bank of testimonials and problem-solving videos, people can go back maybe a year or whatever and see you've got a history, you've got a track record. Okay? CTAs in the middle or at the end of each video, just like this CTA. And if you need help with your coaching business, your agency, scaling your info offer, either on a revenue share basis or to help consult, then book in a call below and we can see if it'll work. Right? Worst case scenario is you booking a call and we just give you some free value. Simple as that. So CTAs like that in the middle and the end of each video. Okay. Some people do a VSL or a main nurturing YouTube video in the bio. Okay. So VSL is just a video sales letter, as you probably know, right? And it's really a video that conveys who you are, what your story is, and what your specific unique method is, or your specific way of scaling clients. Okay, and then a CTA at the end, or just a call to action to get them to work with you. If you have that as an inconspicuous YouTube video in your bio or VSL to really direct that traffic, then that is absolutely gold. And in the YouTube videos, just a call booking link in the bio, right? Really, really simple. If they don't want to go through that, the VSL, and they want to go straight to the booking link, they definitely can do. Okay. Now, in terms of the story CTAs, this is an example of a client. So, for example, it could start with maybe a poll. That's a hard CTA, and this is a soft CTA. So this would be one access to maybe a free course, free training video. You'd have a bunch of story sequences before this, and this is, okay, do you want to join my mentorship to a certain extent? Okay, so this is a really good example. All right, this is another example of a hard CTA. If you want to be next, showing a bunch of testimonials, results of students. If you want to be next, DM the word edge. Okay, simple as that. Now, the next part of the process is sales process. Now, I was working with a client and he had all of the rest, but he just didn't have the sales process dialed in. This is probably second to none, one of the most important parts, right? Because if you can't convey your offer and convey your value accurately on a sales call, don't have the right pricing, then you're not going to sell anything. Okay. So like we went through before, 3-pillar pitch and a clear sales framework. 3-pillar pitch is to really simply convey your value, not go into hard on the features. Right. And in terms of the next step, once you're taking, let's say like 10 sales calls a week, and once you're closing at a decent percentage, it's actually not leveraged as the founder to be on sales calls. So this is when with a client, I'll replace them with a closer so that they can just focus on the content. They can focus on maybe running paid ads. They can focus on actually running a business, right? Instead of being on sales calls all day, every day, right? Most of my clients, and you probably got into business for freedom, right? You don't want to be on sales calls all day, every day, right? Now, once you really start booking more than 10 sales calls a week, you need to really get hot shit in terms of the data tracking and the CRM. When I was a closer, closing for info product businesses, probably up 30, 40, maybe 50% of all my deals came from follow-up, right? A lot of money. So if you have a CRM, you've got to make sure you're tracking with the right pipeline, with the right setup and optimization in the CRM so that you or your closers is accurately getting to every single lead possible, not leaving any money on the table. In terms of data tracker, you got to know metrics such as close rate, average order value, show rate is really important, a bunch of different metrics as well. And this is what we build out for our clients as well. Really, really important when you want to scale past that 50, 100K a month mark. You have to have data to know exactly what to implement in your business, where the problems are. You don't want to just go blind because that's not what a 100K a month business owner would do. right? You have to have data to go off. Super, super, super fucking important. Now, the last part of the scale is paid ads. Now, they'll probably get a point where if you got an organic following, content can only get you so far. So the main leverage we use to scale businesses is paid ads. It's just a predictable way of getting leads in, eyeballs into your ecosystem on a regular basis, right? Without having to rely on going viral, without having to rely on posting on Instagram or YouTube, right? Yeah, it's good to post as well to nurture them, but this is a great way to consistently get eyeballs in. Now, there's two ways you can do this: follower or DM ads. Now, this is really great in my experience until around 100 to 150k a month, and it works really well with a personal brand, but it's needed to have an appointment setter in there. It's appointment setter focused. The second option is a VSL funnel. Now, VSL funnels, they're great to scale past 150k a month, you know, to the 500k a month, million a month. They're great to scale, I wouldn't say infinitely, but they're pretty good to scale past those numbers. But they get slightly more complex, right? Usually the leads are a tiny bit colder, okay? So there's more skill and there's more team involved to really make it work. So if you're below 50k a month, I would recommend follower ads because they're pretty simple to manage, and they work pretty well with growing your personal brand as well. Okay, now if you are an info product owner, you run a coaching business or an agency, and you really want to scale past 100, maybe even past 50k a month, then either if you need help, drop me a booking below in my bio, book in a call, and we can see if we can help, or just go to my Instagram, pop me a few questions. I'll be happy to help.